Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. We all know Errol Spence has a big boxing match coming up with Yugas. I'm doing a lot of videos on him right now, just to remind everybody about how special Errol Spence is, how fortunate he is to be here. In case you've been living underneath a rock, Errol Spence was in a very, very, very violent car accident a couple of years ago. Errol Spence says he doesn't remember anything leading up to that, and he doesn't remember anything, I think he says 5 weeks after that. I think those 5 weeks where he was in the hospital may have been in a coma. Errol Spence, on that day, just based on what the experts say, Errol Spence should not be alive. But he's here for a reason, and he had the big man looking over him. Because if you talk to tree workers, you talk to construction workers, you talk to these, we call them, pole jumpers, but guys, electricians who are out there working on power lines, there are studies done that shows, and anecdotally, if a person was to fall less than 30 feet, there's a good chance of them surviving. They will be injured, but there's a good chance of them surviving. But at 30 feet or higher, falling, especially onto concrete, is more than likely they are not going to survive. So they said it's almost guaranteed death. And when you think about Errol Spence and what he did after his car accident to come back and immediately fight Danny Garcia and shut him down, it's beyond amazing. Has no lingering effects from that car accident. It's absolutely amazing. Errol Spence was driving that Ferrari. He lost control. It tumbled. He was thrown 30 feet in the air and came crashing down onto the pavement. Now they say when a person is falling from a height of 30 feet, they can reach speeds of 15, 20 miles per hour as they come crashing to the earth. But Errol Spence had to be traveling. His body had to be traveling, I would think more like a 30 to 40 miles per hour, because he was ejected from his vehicle. So he had more momentum than somebody who was standing on a ladder at a height of 30 feet and just slipped and fell. So when you look at his body mass, the height to where he was thrown and the speed he was traveling to get to the apex, and then for him to come crashing down into the earth, it's going to be more of an impact, and it's going to more of a chance of him dying. So Errol Spence should not be here based on the studies that have been done about falls, and that's why there's just so much caution and so much safety training for people who are in occupations that require them to be up working at certain heights. So when you take Errol Spence and just understanding what he went through that night, his recovery, and to see him here is absolutely amazing. I don't see how a person cannot want him to win in any fight that he has. And you know why? Not just because he survived. It's because he learned from that. He didn't come out of that and continue doing the same things. And I respect that, and I commend him for that, because he's setting the right example. Because he realizes, like I was taught this, and I tell my kids this, man, you don't have any control over some things in your life. Worry about what you have control over. And Errol Spence realizes that, he doesn't have any control over when it's his time to go. He doesn't have any control over if he's going to go outside and fall and break his foot or break his arm. he doesn't have any control over when he's going to die. But what he does have control over, he's going to make sure he controls it. He cannot drink alcohol. He does not have to live in a condo right there in the city, in the hustle and bustle of things. He does not have to go out to the clubs every night. He does not have to buy a bunch of jewelry. He does not have to buy a bunch of flashy cars and be out there, man, stunting on everybody. He does not have to do that. There's another saying that I heard growing up, and I believe that the loudest one in the room is the weakest one. And Errol Spence has proven that he doesn't have to be loud, because that made him weak and made him vulnerable, because he was trying to almost live up to what people expected of him. And he realized quick that that's not the life that he needs to be living. And I think that was just a reality check that he got for him to get things in perspective. This man has been blessed. I believe he started training with Derek James at age 16. And look at what all he's been able to accomplish as an amateur and a professional. And he almost lost it all. So after the car accident and the fight with Danny Garcia, supposed to fight Pacquiao, then he had something else surface with the eye. All that seems to be back together. But when we look at Errol Spence and the fact that his organs are fine, his bones are fine. The fact that he doesn't have, and this is what really is shocking to me, he doesn't have consistent migraines. He doesn't have them consistently. He doesn't have them persistently. He doesn't have them at all. You would think that when your body slams on the concrete from falling 30 feet in the air, that he would at least have some kind of migraines or something. He has nothing at all. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So people, if you're out there and you're not living right, not living a clean life, it's your choice. I'm not judging you. But good thing is to take a look at Errol Spence, and especially that drinking and driving and that fast life, and slow down and rethink kind of what you're doing. Because this man is really blessed. And I know he's focused on his children, he's focused on his farm, he's focused on his boxing, he's focused on just enjoying life and living it to the fullest in a different way now. And that's good. But, I could see Errol Spence, when he finishes his boxing career, doing a little traveling and being a motivational speaker. Because what he went through and to be here from what he went through is amazing. Now, there have been other boxers who've gotten in car accidents, and a lot of them, and motorcycle accidents. Vinny Pazienza, I know a lot of people are familiar with that. He actually had a documentary done on him. Errol Spence, I'm sure, is going to have a documentary done on him. Another one of those very interesting stories, a guy who shouldn't have been able to continue his career. Vinny Pazienza did, he went on to do great things. Errol Spence is doing great things right now. But then there's some guys who weren't so lucky to get in a car accident, a motorcycle accident, and survive. The great Diego Corrales, he's one. Billy Collins Jr., he went through something rough. It's when Louis Resto had taken the padding out of his gloves. But, he committed suicide by driving his car into a ditch or something there in Tennessee. And that's very unfortunate. Then you have guys like Davey Moore. He was a middleweight fighter. He ended up dying in a tragic accident in 1988. And there's so many other boxers, even Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, if those of you who don't know who that is, he was 55, 11, 8, and 35 KOs. He was the first ever African-American world heavyweight boxing champion. Had 104 fights. It was clear that he loved boxing. But what happened with him, June 10th in 1946, he raced angrily from a restaurant that refused to serve him and ended up crashing his car. He was taken to the hospital where he died. So when you think about those things, crashing the car, Errol Spence crashed the car. But some of these guys are just they didn't escape the tragedy. Errol Spence not only escaped the tragedy, he escaped falling 30 feet in the air and slamming into concrete as well. So he had angels around him that day, man. And even if you don't believe in, if you're not very spiritual or not, you gotta be you gotta be a better explanation that maybe we can't explain and we can't figure out for why that man's here. There's something else going on around him, and it's a good thing. And I am looking forward to his fight with Yugas. And I would say the same thing for Yugas, man. When you got a guy like that who's trying to, escape a country to come out here and live his dream and provide for his family. So looking forward to the fight that's coming up very soon. But I just wanted to put that into perspective with Errol Spence, that he fell from 30 feet in the air. And when you look at what these guys who work at those heights, from construction workers, electricians, they say that 30 feet is the cutoff, and that's what I have here in the what's scrolling down below, is the cutoff for a fatal fall, or they're saying here as a fatality in a fall, and they say most people who fall from the height they die. So that being said, just put things in perspective about Errol Spence. Amazing human being. Love the changes he's made, and I love the example he's setting. And I'm looking forward to the fight between him and Ugas. That being said, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the veterans, and as always, I'm in the breeze.